Synchrodestiny. Harnessing the infinite power of conscious to create miracles by Deepak Chopra. Most of us go through a life a little afraid, a little nervous, a little excited. We are like children playing hide and seek, wanting to be found, yet hoping we won't be, biting our nails with anticipation. We worry when opportunity approaches a little too closely and hide deeper in the shadows when fear overcomes us. This is no way to go through life. People who understand the true nature of reality, those whom some traditions call enlightened, lose all sense of fear or concern. All worry disappears. Once you understand the way life really works, the flow of energy, information, and intelligence that directs every moment, then you begin to see the amazing potential in that moment. When you live your life with an appreciation of coincidences and their meanings, you connect with the underlying field of infinite possibilities. This is when the magic begins. This is a state I call synchrodestiny, in which it becomes possible to achieve the spontaneous fulfillment of our every desire. Synchrodestiny requires gaining access to a place deep within yourself, while at the same time awakening to the intricate dance of coincidences out in the physical world. When a coincidence arises, don't ignore it. Ask yourself, what is the message here? What is the significance of this? You don't need to go digging for answers. Ask the question, and the answers will emerge. They may arrive as a sudden insight, a spontaneous creative experience, or they may be something very different. Perhaps you will meet a person who is somehow related to the coincidence that occurred. An encounter, a relationship, a chance meeting, a situation, a circumstance will immediately give you a clue to its meaning. Oh, so that's what this is all about. The key is to pay attention and inquire.
I'm going to talk about miracles. More importantly, really just allowing everyday miracles in our life. Sometimes it feels like a miracle just that we got out of bed and made it to work on time. And I know that's a joke, but at the end of the day, we have really busy lives. And sometimes it is miraculous that we got the laundry done, got the kids fed, got to work on time, or just that we're standing here today. That in itself is sometimes a miracle. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself though, so let's really talk about what is a miracle. Wikipedia says a miracle is an event not explainable by natural or scientific law. The word miracle is often used to characterize any beneficial event that is statistically unlikely but not contrary to the laws of nature, such as surviving a natural disaster, or simply a wonderful occurrence like the birth of a child. Regardless, other miracles might be the survival of an illness that was termed terminal, escaping a life-threatening situation, or beating the odds in some way. Some coincidences may also be seen as miracles. That last statement, some coincidences may also be seen as miracles. Now, I'm not sure I totally buy into that. I don't necessarily believe in coincidence. I prefer to think of those things as divine guidance or inspiration or intervention. For example, I'm at dinner with a friend and he says, "Hey, how is your son doing?" And the minute he says his name, my phone rings and it's my son. Now, is that a coincidence? It doesn't seem like a miracle, but it is a coincidence. Was it divinely guided? Were we just on the same vibrational frequency? I wouldn't call it a miracle, but it does happen a lot, right? Everyone has these experiences, and they happen over and over and over again. So are they a miracle or a coincidence? Are they divinely guided? Deepak Chopra wrote a book that Sue did a little talk about called Synchrodestiny, Harnessing the Infinite Power of Coincidence to Create Miracles. In his book, he quotes a woman by the name of Carol Lynn Pearson, who says, "There are two symptoms of enlightenment, just two indications that a transformation is taking place within you towards a higher consciousness. The first symptom is that you stop worrying. Things don't bother you anymore. You become light-hearted and joyful." That sounds great. The second symptom is that you encounter more and more meaningful coincidences in your life, more and more synchronicities. And this accelerates to a point where you actually experience the miraculous. So think about for a moment, just think about the coincidences, the synchronicities in your own life. Think about the person you met. Think about who you're here with. How did you meet? Did you meet someone who introduced you to someone, who introduced you to someone, who invited you somewhere where you met someone, and that person became your best friend, your husband, your business partner? Just imagine for a moment all of the things that had to happen, all of the things that the universe had to line up just for that chance meeting. Is it a coincidence? Or are we encountering those more meaningful synchronicities because we are allowing the divine to guide us, allowing us to recognize these coincidences as more than just that? So what is a miracle to you? I can tell you what it means to me, but it really only matters what it means to you. What do you think about when you hear the word miracle? Do you think about unexplainable
Albert
event?
Einstein,
kind of a smart guy, says there are only two ways to live your life. One is as if there are no miracles. The other, as if everything is a miracle. I love that. I adore the idea of living life as though everything is a miracle. But believing is the first step, right? You have to believe, to anticipate, to eagerly await the everyday miracles. You must be present in the moment, because miracles don't happen yesterday or tomorrow. They happen in the now, which is where anything that really matters exists. Wayne Dyer says, miracles come in moments. Be ready and willing. Lemony Snicket says miracles are like meatballs, because nobody can exactly agree on what they are made of, where they come from, or how often they should occur. Now, this is where perspective comes in, right? I certainly don't think of meatballs as miracles, but then again, someone else might. The thing is, I get to decide. I have the free will to make that decision about what is a miracle, a coincidence, synchronicity, divine intervention, inspiration. One man's meatball is another man's miracle. The thing is, you get to determine that. You have your own perspective. Don't rely on someone else to determine that for you. Or like my good friend Tony says, don't go answer shopping, right? First time I heard that, I was like, what? Answer shopping? Yeah. Gary, are meatballs miracles? No? Oh. Jean, are meatballs? Yeah? See, I knew it, right? Oh, yeah. I got the answer I was looking for. You don't need somebody else's validation to decide what is a miracle. You have to make that call on your own. Decide to see coincidence as a miracle or not. It's up to you. Anton St. Martin says, do not be surprised should you find a complete absence of anything mystical or miraculous in the manifested reality of those who are so willing and eager to advise you. Friends and family who suffer the lack of abundance, joy, and fulfillment in their own lives really have no business imposing their self-limiting beliefs on yours. And that's sound advice. Don't let others influence you into thinking that your life is anything less than miraculous, because it is. I am certain that my life is miraculous, that divine intervention, synchronicity, coincidence, call it what you will, but they have all worked together on my behalf so that I am still standing here today. I'm going to share a little story with you. Some of you may know it, but most of you do not. Many years ago when I was young, no laughing, I started having some serious health issues. I was in my mid-20s, and we know everything at that point. I don't like doctors. I didn't want to go to the doctor. And because I was so smart and knew everything, I decided not to go. I had these terrible cramps after I ate, so I just thought, I'll just not eat. It's perfect. So after about a year of that, I was in real trouble. I was terribly thin and anemic, and finally, at the urging of my family, I went to the doctor. The thing is, they never have good news, right? They never have good news. Somehow I kept thinking in my infinite wisdom at 26 that if the thing wrong with me didn't have a name, like that it just didn't exist, right? Yeah, well, I couldn't just wish it away. It was there. So after a battery of tests, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and immediately put on medication and given a real strict diet. So this is not a life-threatening illness by any stretch of the imagination, more of an inconvenience than anything. I was told to take my medication, follow my diet, and I would be fine. So the thing is, I wasn't. After about a year, my health had seriously deteriorated. I was in and out of the hospital every month with pneumonia, about every 2 to 3 weeks. I could be home, and then I would be back in the hospital for a week. I couldn't take care of my son. I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't take care of myself. So after a while, the doctors couldn't figure out what exactly was wrong and why this kept happening to me. And it finally came to a head when I collapsed and was unable to breathe on my own. I was rushed to the emergency room where doctors discovered that my blood was no longer being oxygenated. I was literally suffocating to death. Although I wasn't aware at the time, the doctors told my family to get my affairs in order and say their goodbyes. They didn't expect me to make it through the night. And at the time, even though I didn't know that, the doctors hadn't shared that with me, I do remember thinking in my hospital room down in Los Angeles how strange it was on a Wednesday night that my entire family was there from Riverside, so far away. I kept thinking, don't they have to work in the morning? Why are they here? But I actually did know. I knew I was dying. In the quiet moments alone, I knew my life was slipping away. But I wasn't scared or nervous. I was actually calm. It's like a loving, blissful feeling came over me. I was surrounded by love of my family. And I actually welcomed that warm blanket of love that death might bring. But as I lay there, thinking about giving up, I thought about my son. He was about 6 at the time, and I just kept thinking, how could God take me away from him? How could he do that? And then I got kind of angry, Like, why would you do that? Why would you leave him alone in this world? Like, who was going to love him and care for him? So I did the only thing I could do. I prayed. And I prayed. And I prayed. So at one point, the nurse came in to give me the meds that I needed to take. And I took them from her, and I looked at them in my hand, and I reached for a glass of water. And then I heard a whisper. I heard a voice tell me not to take the pills, little green pills. I'd taken them every day for a year. But somehow, I had this urging deep inside. So I thought about it, and I sort of argued with myself, sort of thinking I'm crazy. And I thought, well, gosh, if I'm going to die anyway, what's the difference if I take the little green pills or not? So I put them away in a drawer in the nightstand, and I drifted off to sleep, not knowing if I would wake up. Well, the next day I did wake up. Obviously, I'm standing here. Was that a miracle? I don't know. I woke up. I was too busy in that moment with everything going on to really think about it. So that next morning, I was rushed into emergency surgery where they did a lung biopsy. After some time, they discovered that I was actually allergic to the medication, the little green pills. Even in my after-surgery haze, I remember thinking, was that an angel? What was that? I didn't think it was a miracle at the time. But looking back, I can see that divine intervention, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, is miraculous. I often wonder if I'd still be here today if I hadn't listened to that still small voice in my head. I seriously doubt it, but I did listen. In the words of the Talmud, the one to whom the miracle is happening does not recognize the miracle. I'm proof of that. And although that wasn't the end of my health struggles at that time in my life, it was a new beginning for me. I saw life with new eyes, was able to hear and see life from a whole different perspective. I wasn't pulled from a sinking car. I didn't exhibit superhuman strength or find Jesus in a piece of toast. No. But I did, more importantly, listen to and heed the warning of that still small voice in my head. Wayne Dyer says miracles happen in moments and be ready and willing. I was. But I don't know that that's enough. Just being present and waiting in the moment for those miracles. I think you need to fill your heart with love and appreciation and gratitude. You need to believe that miracles are possible. You have to live from your heart and expect miracles in every day. Wayne Dyer also says, upon awakening, let the words "thank you" flow from your lips. This will remind you to begin your day with gratitude and compassion. I would throw in a little unconditional love for that recipe in experiencing everyday miracles. The thing is, when you look around in your hurried, rushed existence, it's hard to see God's work. But it's tough to argue with a miracle. Those supernatural events that indicate strongly that God is at work, reminding us that we are never alone. When we witness a miracle, our lives are elevated. We're given new insight into the meaning of ordinary events in our life. And we realize that God is always at work. Extraordinary miracles wake us up to the fact that all of life, each and every breath you take, is a miracle. Rabbi Ashkenazi explains that what we've referred to as nature is actually miraculous and utterly unnatural. He says it is only because natural events happen all the time that we take them for granted. Advances in modern science are exposing how absolutely extraordinary the most ordinary events are. The development of a seed into a tree, an embryo into a human body. Life is a miracle. Not just ours, animals, plants, the ecosystem of this entire planet, the entire universe is something that we should appreciate and cherish. The truth is, we don't even realize the extent to which the universe is creating miracles for us in every moment. Miracles happen when we least expect them but need them the most. We all have that still small voice in our head if we will listen. We never know when those prayers are going to be answered with an everyday miracle, but we do know that light finds those who seek it. Let's recognize the everyday miracles in our own lives. Bless them, be grateful, appreciative, and be present in the moment so that we can experience more and more of them. Thank you.